Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a mock draft of the first round for the NFL draft that's on Thursday. Can't wait.
Me too. Let's ignore that. We're gonna be doing the first round only, and we're gonna go back and forth, choosing each other's picks. Christian's gonna start with pick number one. Can you please turn those
First overall
notifications?
pick, we have the Raiders obviously taking
Well, you
Mendoza.
you have narrated.
Okay, I have the Raiders taking Mendoza. Last season, the Raiders were horrible. They finished, I think, or not, I think they did finish last in points per game with an offense. And here they have the first overall pick, which is a luxury to have. Um, and they hope that they can take the quarterback of the future. But he probably won't be starting this season because the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins and Clint Kubiak. Why are you looking at me like that? Because Clint Kubiak and Spytek both said that they don't want to throw Mendoza into the fire. And Kirk Cousins will be a great mentor for Mendoza because they're basically the same people. And also Mendoza, did win the Heisman this year and won the national championship, and he's probably the best quarterback in the class.
Yeah, not probably. He is the best quarterback in the class because this class is pretty terrible. Number two with the Jets. I have them taking Arvell Reese. I know there's a lot of buzz going around with David Bailey, but I just think the ceiling at Arvell Reese, he's got like untapped potential. He could really be an all pro caliber kind of guy. And I mean David Bailey, I think so too, but I just think Arvell Reese probably has more potential. And I think the Jets are obviously not in a win now situation, so they're going to take the potential.
And then here at three, I have the Cardinals taking Jeremiah Love.
Okay.
I'm good. Sorry. I know that a lot of mocks have them taking Marigoa, but I just think that Mike LaFleur as the head coach is going to want a good running game to start. They already have their young wide receiver one in Marvin Harrison Jr. They already have their young tight end one in Trey McBride. They are missing that young quarterback that they need, but
Stay tuned.
stay tuned for the rest of the
Oh, I
video.
did a really bad wink. Don't keep that.
No, I'm keeping that. So I think they take Jeremiah Love because he's and probably a generational type of running back. He was great this past season. They have a
But
lot of running backs, but James Conner's already old, coming off of an injury. Trey Benson, I liked him coming out of college, but he's been dealing with injuries and he hasn't really lived up to being the running back one. So I think they take Jeremiah Love here as a great running back, and he could be good there for fantasy too.
number four, the Tennessee Titans. I have them taking Sonny Styles. I think the Titans without Jeremiah Love, that's something that's like been pretty popular mock, I feel like. But with Jeremiah Love not there, they probably shift towards defense, especially with Robert Saleh being there. And I think they could go edge rusher. I wouldn't be surprised with a David Bailey or a Ruben Bain. But I just think Sonny Styles looked so incredible at the combine and also on tape. I feel like he just was really good. That he's kind of too much to pass up on. I also think this is a really good trade up or trade down. I think a lot of teams would want to trade up here, especially like Dallas. I think they could trade up for Sonny Styles here, or just maybe another team who wants David Bailey or even Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs. So I think this is a good trade down situation, but we're gonna have them stick and pick and take Sonny Styles.
Yeah, so then here at five, just a couple of days ago, the Giants made a blockbuster trade with the Bengals to trade for the number 10 overall pick, and I think the Giants are going to be taking Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is a generational type of player. I think Caleb Downs is probably the best overall prospect in this draft. He's just a great player overall in general. Harbaugh can get
Kyle Hamilton.
his Kyle Hamilton
Ooh.
his Kyle Hamilton replacement, and they could have gone wide receiver here, but since they have the 10th overall pick, they're hoping that they can get a wide receiver at number 10 and just take their safety here at number 5.
Now number six, Cleveland. I have them taking Francis Magnoa. We normally have them getting mocked to tackle or a receiver, and I think receiver is totally at play here. But with Magnoa falling or Magnoa, I think that's how you pronounce it, falling and Arizona not taking them or taking him, I think that it's a pretty obvious pick for Cleveland to take. He's the best tackle in the class. I like Cardinal Tate, but to me, like wide receiver is not that obvious, like who's the best in the class. And I think tackle is pretty obvious that Francis Magnoa is the best in the class. And I think Cleveland has to take him here.
Yeah, I think they want to protect the QB1 in Shador Sanders and hope that he can have a better season this year than he did last. So here at number 7, I have Washington taking David Bailey. I really think that the edge number 1 is really between David Bailey and Ruben Bain, but a lot of people are worried about Ruben Bain's measurements, so that's why I have taking Washington taking David Bailey at number 7 because they're more comfortable with David Bailey's measurements. David Bailey last year had a great season. If I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure he had like 14 sacks or something around that. He was very productive. And I know Washington did go after edge rusher, defensive line in free agency, but I just still don't think that Washington passes up on a very productive edge rusher in David Bailey.
Now, pick number 8 with New Orleans. I'm taking Carnell Tate. I think it's pretty obvious that they need another receiver. If you look at the receiver room, like outside of Chris Olave, it's probably the worst in the league. Maybe like behind the Raiders or something. Yeah, I think pairing Carnell Tate up with another Ohio State receiver in Chris Olave, and of course, I think Juwan Johnson's a like underratedly good tight end. I think he's like pretty good. I think that's a pretty good passing attack, especially if you're keeping Kamara and Etienne, who are both receiving threats outside of the backfield. I think it leads to a pretty fun offense for Kellen Moore and Tyler Shough.
Yeah. Yeah, that offense should be pretty fun to watch next year, especially with we're getting Shook tonight. Okay, sorry. Okay, now at number 9,
So,
we have the Chiefs taking Ruben Bain Jr. Obviously, they have a huge need at corner after trading away McDuffie to the Rams, and we would have them taking Mansour Delane here at 9, but I just think that the amount of talent that Ruben Bain has is too much to pass up on here, and the Chiefs will hope that they can get like another corner at number 29. And I know not a lot of teams are, like I said before, worried about Ruben Bain's measurements, but I just think that he's such a dominant force on the edge of the line, and he has such a great bend that you can't teach. And I think that Ruben Bain can be the start of the defense and pass rush quarterbacks next to Chris Jones.
hmm I think he's like arguably the best edge rusher in the class too. I don't know.
I just think a lot of people are scared about his arm length.
Yeah, I remember watching that national championship game and being like, "Sheesh,
All
that
right,
looks
go.
good."
All right, let's-
With the 10th pick, the New York Giants they made the trade, trading away Dexter Lawrence for pick number 10, and I think it was a third round pick too, right? I think they got a third round pick
I
too,
have no idea, not gonna lie.
which is kind of crazy. But with that 10th pick, we have them take, or I have them taking a wide receiver, and I personally think this wide receiver is the best in the class, and I have them taking Jordan Tyson. He's kind of like similar in frame to Malik Neighbors. He's just a really good route runner. He's got good stature. He's got good hands. Apart from, I think, not this past season, but the year before, he had a little bit of a drop problem, but this season it was all good. So I just really think Jordan Tyson is a really good wide receiver. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I think he is a wide receiver one, and obviously the Giants aren't a team who need a wide receiver one when they have Malik Neighbors, but when you have the chance to pair up such a great talent with Neighbors and Tyson, I mean, I think that looks to a pretty fun offense, especially with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterby back there.
Yeah, I think personally I would have Jordan Tyson or a lot of people would have Jordan Tyson as their wide receiver 1 over Carnell Tate. The only thing holding him back is his injury history, so that's why a lot of people are scared of having Jordan Tyson on their team. But I just think that Tyson is so talented; it's difficult to pass up on that. So, and here at number 11, I have the Dolphins taking Mansour Delane from LSU. Mansour Delane is probably the best corner in this draft class. And here at 11, I was debating between having the Dolphins take Makai Lemon or Mansour Delane. I was thinking about it for a little bit, but I ended up having them taking
Or even Vega.
or even Vega, yeah. But I just ended up having them take Mansour Delane because with a defensive-minded head coach, I think that Hafley wants to build up his defense first and then maybe take a wide receiver or an offensive lineman later on in the first round or even just later on in the draft. And Delane is just a type of talent that you can't pass up on. And I think a lot of people uh, really liked Jamad McCoy, especially last year in 2024. But with his injury, a lot of people are scared of that, so they have him dropping. But Mansur Delane here is probably the obvious fit for Miami.
Now, number 12 at Dallas, I feel like this is a pretty difficult position right now. A lot of the players that they were kind of hoping would fall didn't in this case. Um, and they're kind of left in a really tough position. But I have them taking safety Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. I think he's probably he is the second best safety in the class. A lot of people were scared about his measurables, and those like scared thoughts were put away at the combine because he tested like really, really well. He actually tested better than the guy who people had over him before the combine, being Emmanuel McNeil Warren. And I think after the combine, he just shot up on draft boards. Again, speaking of Jamad McCoy, I don't think Dallas takes him at 12. If they were to take him, I think they take him at 20 because they are still scared of that torn ACL. And although he looked pretty good in his pro day, I think they're still a little bit scared and they don't want a project corner like someone who they took last year in Chavon Ravel.
Yeah, and I also really like Chavon Ravel too. Hopefully, he can turn out to be a great corner in the
Yeah,
league.
hopefully, I'm not gonna say it, Christian Parker can help him develop into a really good corner.
All right, so then here at number 13, I have the Rams taking Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon is a receiver who this past season did very great, and a lot of people have Makai Lemon.
Very well.
All right, grammar, please. We have a lot of people have Makai Lemon either as a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 in the draft. But me personally,
Or
I
even
have,
one.
or
I've
even one.
seen
Yeah.
a lot of people have the case of him being one because they compare him to Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is a really, really good comparison, I think.
Yeah, I have him as my wide receiver 3. Um, Obviously, the Rams don't have a huge need at wide receiver because they have Puka and Devontae, and they have a decent wide receiver 3 in Jordan Whittington. But I think the Rams taking a wide receiver like Makai Lemon, that offense will just become probably the best in the league or one of the best and become very dangerous with the wide receiver trio of Devontae Adams, Puka, and Makai Lemon. Matthew Stafford is going to have a field day on defenses and also with Kyron Williams in the backfield. So I just think this pick really helps the Rams become an offensive powerhouse, even though they already were this past season.
Now, 14, I have the Baltimore Ravens taking Vega Ione. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think he is the best offensive lineman in the draft in general. Um, and like what I said about Noah, like being the best, he's the best tackle. Don't get me wrong, but I think Vega is the best offensive lineman in the draft. It's just guard never goes high in the draft. There's really never a case where a guard will go top 10. If there was a case, it would probably be this year, maybe, or maybe just outside the top 10. Maybe Miami takes him. But he is really, really good. And I think the Ravens could use him. I know they lost Linderbaum, who's a center, but, when you lose a center, offensive lineman shifts a lot. Maybe a guard moves to center, maybe a center moves to guard. Um, and I just think Vega would be really, really good for Baltimore.
Then here at 15, before I get to the pick, can we talk about how we have 4 Ohio State players going in the top 8? That's kind of crazy. Yeah, we have Carnell Tate, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, and Arvell Reese going in the top 8 of the draft. That's kind of crazy. And they didn't even win the national championship, which is pretty crazy to think about. But okay, getting back on track. Here at 15, we have Tampa. I keep on making that mistake. Tampa taking Akeem Mesidor. Akeem Mesidor is a great edge rusher. He was great with partnering up with Ruben Bain, wrecking havoc in the playoffs and especially wrecking havoc in the national championship against Fernando Mendoza. But Mesidor is a great player. The only issue that a lot of teams have with him is his age, that he's 25, I believe. So teams are worried that he won't have enough time to work out the kinks that he has. They would rather take somebody younger for this position. But I just think Tampa really likes Mesidor, especially with the talent that he has, and they take him here to bolster up their pass rush.
At pick 16, With the second first round pick for the Jets, I have them taking a wide receiver, and that being Omar Cooper Jr. I feel like he has shot up draft boards since I feel like after like really the national championship, he really wasn't considered to be a first round pick, but ever since then, like the consensus on him really grew. Also, I just like taking into account of the other receivers on the board, I think the Jets probably feel more comfortable taking Omar Cooper over Denzel Boston over KC Concepcion. I think that's how you say his name, right? Is it KC Concepcion or Concepcion? I think it's
I don't know,
Concepcion.
it's one of those two.
But I really think Omar Cooper is a really good player. He's dynamic and he can make some really difficult catches, especially the one against Penn State. If you know what I'm talking about, he goes like this and then gets 1 foot down
Oh
barely.
yeah.
Like it was like one. It's probably the best catch in college football last year.
And then here at number 17, I have the Lions taking tackle Spencer Fano. The Lions last year were pretty disappointing compared to how they were in 2024 after going 15-2. They only ended up going 9-8, and they missed the playoffs, which is kind of crazy. You come last in your division with at 9-8. That just shows how crazy the NFC North was. I just think that the Lions here go back to their old ways and take a tackle in Spencer Fano. And Spencer Fano does have short arms, but at this point, he's probably the best lineman on the board, and he has a lot of potential. And hopefully, the Lions draft a great tackle here in Fano and get back to the old ways of having probably the best offensive line in the league.
And now at pick 18, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking defensive tackle Caden McDonald. One of the things that we have been doing is we've been having Dylan Thieneman be the pick for Minnesota, being the Harrison Smith replacement. And I still think they could go safety. They could take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren here. I just think that they will go defensive tackle as it's kind of a glaring need for them. Also, they have like no depth. I think they got rid of Javon Hargrave. You can fact check me on that, editor. I
Okay.
think they just go Caden McDonald. Caleb McDonald, not McDonald's. He is a very strong
You're
player.
hungry, huh?
Not really. He's a really strong player, really good against the run. What's so funny?
Nothing. Keep going.
He's really good against the run, and I think the Vikings could just use a defensive tackle like Caden McDonald. So, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Just thinking about McDonald's now. All right, so here at number 19, I have the Panthers taking tight end Kenyon Sadiq. Last season, Kenyon Sadiq had a good year in Oregon, and
At
so at Oregon, and the Panthers also had a pretty good season last year with Bryce Young taking a step up. And
step forward.
holy crap! It just okay. Shut up. With Bryce Young taking a step forward, and Tararoa McMillan having a good season and winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, I just think that the Panthers take this tight end and it helps bolster their offense and gives Bryce Young another receiving option other than Tararoa McMillan and Jalen Coker, who I like a lot. Why are you laughing?
None of the you like Terrell McMillan.
All right, shut up. Go ahead. Thank you.
At pick 20 with the second first round pick for the Cowboys, I have them taking cornerback Jermod McCoy. Now, I don't think this is super likely to happen. I just have them taking him because I really don't know where else they would go here. They could reach and take a linebacker and take CJ Allen or take Jacob Rodriguez. But speaking back to the first pick they made and taking Dylan Thieneman, I think that he probably plays free safety. You have Malik Hooker playing strong safety, and you move Jalen Thompson, the free safety they got in free agency, and you move him into nickel corner. And then you have Deron Bland as your cornerback 2, but you have a glaring hole at cornerback 1. Is it Siobhan Ravel? Probably not, but you probably take the chance on Jermod McCoy. And although I don't know if this happens, I just think he's the best player on the board, and I have them taking the best corner on the board. And I think these two picks would definitely shore up the secondary, and you can just focus on maybe edge rusher and linebacker for the rest of the draft. But I don't know. I don't really love the edge rushers left on the board anyway, for the Cowboys at least. Like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Keldrick Folk. I mean, he could end up being a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's like that DeMarcus Lawrence kind of build where he's really good at stopping the run, not as great as rushing the passer. And I do really like Cassius Howell. I just don't think the Cowboys like him because of his measurements. I just have them taking the best corner on the board being Jermon McCoy. And although I don't think it's going to happen, I don't know. It's what I chose.
Yeah. All right, so here at 21, I have the Steelers taking Monroe Freeling. Monroe Freeling, oh my God, Monroe Freeling is a good tackle that I like in this draft. He also has a lot of potential, like Spencer Fano, and Freeling has really good size for a tackle. And I know they had a pretty good offensive line this past season. I think that taking Freeling will help bolster up the offensive line. And if Rodgers does decide to come back to Pittsburgh, with this offensive line being hopefully a top unit, then Rodgers won't have to move that much, and maybe he can extend his career another year or two, so that way he doesn't have to retire early, and maybe Pittsburgh with Mike McCarthy can make a run into the playoffs and get past a wild card.
Mm-hmm. What a drop off for Freeling. We had him at
Yeah.
pick 6 last mock draft, and then
Yeah.
we have him
At
all the way to
21.
21. But I mean, I think he's still a good player. It's just
No,
hard
yeah.
to, not a lot of teams really want to take a tackle. I mean, a lot of teams want to take a tackle, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, especially Monroe Freeling, he's good, but he's got some pretty bad weaknesses. But I think he will end up being a really good player. So with the 22nd pick in the Chargers, I have them taking guard Emmanuel Pregnon out of Oregon. The Chargers' offensive line was pretty terrible this year, like one of the worst in the league. I know they were banged up a lot, but they still weren't good when they were healthy. And I think Emmanuel Pregnon was super, super solid this past season. He's one of the best guards in the draft. As I said before, guards don't really go high in the NFL draft, but I think Pregnon is good enough and has the argument that he should be taken in the first round. And I think he probably will, or probably could fall into the second. But the Chargers really need a guard, and I think go ahead take the second best guard in the draft and Emmanuel Pregnon.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I think the Chargers are going to be a scary good team next year because this past season they were good, but now this year they're going to have Mike McDaniels as their offensive coordinator, and I just think with him as their offensive coordinator and having Justin Herbert at quarterback is really going to launch this offense into the next level, and I think they could make a pretty deep run in the playoffs. I have this. I have the Eagles taking Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. McNeil-Warren is probably one of the best. Well, not probably. He is one of the best safeties in the class. I think they take McNeil-Warren because they have the connection with Toledo already with Quinion Mitchell, and McNeil-Warren, he is great at run defending, and he is really good at forcing fumbles. I think he has 9 career forced fumbles or somewhere around that in his collegiate career. But I think McNeil-Warren really helps solidify the Phillies secondary with Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean. And pick 24 with Cleveland's second first round pick. I have them going wide receiver this time and taking Denzel Boston. Denzel Boston's a pretty interesting wide receiver prospect. He's like massive. I'm pretty sure he's like 6'5" or something like that. He's pretty quick, and he's just got the perfect build and size for a wide receiver one. If you were to like make someone in a lab, no glaze, you probably are getting the body type of Denzel Boston. The only thing is he doesn't create a lot of separation, and he does have really strong hands though. And I think that's what could save him is his strong hands and his body, where you can almost just throw it up to him and he'll just, I don't know, moss them. But I think if he develops a route tree, and if Shador can get him the ball, I think Denzel Boston could be a really intriguing wide receiver.
Yeah, if Shador can take a step up from last year, I think this Cleveland offense could be better because they'll have obviously Denzel Boston. If they do take him, they'll have a good offensive lineman in Maui Goa, and
I think it's Maui Noah.
Is it Maui Noah?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, and then they'll have a good tight end. Oh my God, what's his name?
Harold Fannin.
And Harold Fannin.
They've also got Jerry Jeudy,
Who's that running back?
Quinshad Judkins.
Quinshad Judkins. Hopefully, he can
Dylan
get
Sampson
healthy for the start of this next season. But here at 25, I have Chicago taking Cassius Howell. A lot of people are scared about his size, but me personally, obviously, I am a little bit worried about it. But I just think he's a great player. And while I was watching him at the combine, he looked really explosive. He had a great 40, and he looked really good during the pass rush drills. And I just think Cassius Howell here at 25 for Chicago makes a lot of sense because they ranked towards the bottom, or they ranked one of the weaker teams in pass rush. So I just think with Chicago taking Cassius Howell, they'll get a good pass rusher paired with a secondary that had probably the most interceptions, I believe, this past season. I think that defense will be really good.
And with the 26th pick, I have the Buffalo Bills going defense instead of offense and have them taking linebacker CJ Allen out of Georgia. I think that the Bills could use a linebacker. I know Matt Milano is getting up there in age. Also, with the new defensive coordinator, Jim Leonard, I know they're switching from a 3-4, so they could use more linebackers in general. And CJ Allen is kind of interesting. I know there's a lot of people who don't think he's a first round talent. I think he's pretty good. He's explosive, he's quick, he's just I think he's a playmaker, and I think he could be really good with Jim Leonard and in that 3-4 system. I think it will be interesting, and especially um, before trading for DJ Moore, I think the Bills were like an obvious candidate to take wide receiver or even
Yeah.
trading up for a receiver because this is a pretty deep receiver class. I feel like, and maybe they still do take one. Who knows? But um, I just think linebacker is an interesting position. I think CJ Allen could be the pick, or maybe they even shock people and take Jacob Rodriguez, which I really do like Jacob Rodriguez,
Yeah,
so
I
I
like
would
him
not be
too.
opposed to that.
So, and here at 27, I have the 49ers taking tackle Max Ianaker. I don't know if I
I
definitely
think it's
butchered
in nature.
Ianat. I don't know. I completely butchered that name, but it's okay. Uh, he is a pretty raw prospect, and I know that San Francisco did have a pretty good offensive line this past season, but I just think if San Francisco does take him, he can be a great successor to Trent Williams. He can help bolster up that offensive line for years to come and hopefully keep Brock Purdy safe in the pocket.
And pick 28, we have a trade. Oh!
Oh! Okay.
Um, we have the Arizona Cardinals trading up with or the Houston Texans trading back, and the Cardinals trading up for pick
Back into the first.
back into the first, yeah, for pick 28, and they are going to take their hopeful quarterback of the future in Ty Simpson.
Foreshadowing from our
Oh.
early in the. You just broke my pencil. Okay.
Um, I actually kind of like Ty Simpson. I liked him more at the beginning of the year,
I think
and
everybody did.
and I liked him more than Mendoza for a long period of time because Ty Simpson looked really, really great. He was like just super accurate. He was putting up monster games against really good schools. He was athletic. He was using his legs well, and he was just making really great throws week after week. And then I think he got injured halfway into the season,
Yeah.
and his play just declined after that. If he could be his midseason self, I think the Cardinals are getting a really, really good quarterback prospect. I doubt he starts right away. The
No, I
Cardinals
doubt
have
it.
such a weird quarterback room, especially if they draft Ty Simpson with Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew. It's like he would be like the quarterback 3. Like I don't know, but it'd be interesting. Maybe they cut Minshew or Brissett.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like Ty Simpson, and I don't think going to the Cardinals is really maybe good for his career. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hopefully, Mike LaFleur can get the best out of him, but we'll see. Yeah,
No, yeah, but I think if the draft goes the way that we have it going, and Arizona takes, oh my God, Jeremiah Love with their first pick, and then they take Ty Simpson, I think this Arizona offense, they could have a bright young future, especially with Mike LaFleur as head coach, Ty Simpson at quarterback, Love at running back, and like I said before,
Marvin
Marvin
Harrison,
Harrison
Michael
Jr. and
Wilson,
Michael Wilson, and then Trey McBride. I think they could have,
and their offensive line's pretty solid too.
yeah,
Just their defense is terrible. Have them going
yeah.
offense in the
I
first
know
two
that
picks.
is
It's
pretty
okay.
bad, but it's okay. They're securing their future. Here at 29, I have the Chiefs taking corner Avion Terrell. Now, Avion Terrell is one of my favorite corners in this draft class. I really like how he plays. Watching him play is fun. I like how explosive. I like how explosive he is. He's really good. I know off the line is a receiver term, but I just love how explosive he is when the ball is snapped and he backpedals super quick and then he launches forward for the interception or the tackle. I just think he's really fun to watch. And here the Chiefs bolster up their defense with taking Ruben Bain with their first pick, securing up that defensive line, and then now helping out their secondary with the great corner in Avion Terrell.
With the Dolphins' second the first round pick they got for Jalen Waddle, right?
Yep.
I have them taking a wide receiver, I guess, replacing Jalen Waddle. I have them taking Casey Concepcion. I really like Casey Concepcion. I think he's a very fun player to watch for sure. He is super shifty, and he's really not like a wide receiver one. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah.
not like the X receiver kind of guy,
Yeah.
but I think he could be the start for a really young, fun offense. Especially the Dolphins have no receivers. I mean, their
Yeah.
wide receivers right now is what Malik Washington and Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah.
Um, I
He'd be a
don't even
good
know. Is,
option
is
for.
Darren Waller even still on the team? Like
I
they
don't
have like
know.
really no
Yeah.
receiving options.
But he's also a good kick and punt returner, which I like about that. He's like a good, well-rounded
Like he's like
receiver.
I don't want to call him a gadget player because he's not. Because he could be a really good receiver.
Yeah.
But I think him with Malik Willis and A Chain, it could be a fun dynamic offense maybe
Hopefully.
if they give him a chance. I
Yeah.
don't know, but they do need to stir up that offensive line because that offensive line is so bad.
Yeah.
But
And so here at number 31, I have the Patriots taking defensive tackle Caleb Banks. A lot of people don't really like Caleb Banks that much, saying he didn't have that great of a combine. But when I watched the combine, he really, for me at least, he passed the eye test. He looked really good. And New England do need defensive tackle depth. They did have a good group last season, but I just think they need to secure up that position and they take another defensive tackle. So just in case an injury happens, or maybe even Caleb Banks can take over as the top defensive tackle of this group. I just think he looked really good at the combine. And I would have them taking offensive tackle here, but I don't think they take Caden Proctor yet because he is more of a project kind of player. And I just think the smarter pick for New England right now is to take Caleb Banks.
as is Blake Miller, in my opinion. I don't think Blake Miller starts right away
Yeah.
anyway. And neither would Caden Proctor. So, with the last pick in the first round, the Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks, I have them sticking with defense and I have them taking edge rusher Keldrick Falk. I think this is a perfect fit for Keldrick Falk, and I think he probably goes higher. Like, I don't think he falls all the way to 32 because he is a freak, kind of. He's like,
He's a freak.
not okay. He's like, he's big.
All right, you're not making it any better.
He's strong. He's fast. He's just super. He's got all the traits that you want in an edge rusher, except his pass rushing ability
Yeah.
isn't great. Obviously, that can be improved on, maybe.
Yeah.
He is an elite run defender, probably the best edge run defender in the class. But I don't know. He fits the perfect mold for Mike McDonald
Yeah.
in that system,
Tough thing,
and
food.
especially with pass rush. Edge rushers who don't who don't who the main thing isn't pass rushing. The Seattle Seahawks edge rushers main thing aren't pass rushing. It's their run defending, and I think Kendrick Falk fits that perfectly. And I think it'd be
He's a great run defender.
yeah, I think it'd be a perfect pick
Damn, you can't
for
freaking talk.
Seattle. Well, we're rolling 40 minutes, no
Yeah.
no stop. So
Yep. All right. Well, that concludes our final mock draft. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be uploading this video and then uploading this mock draft onto our TikTok. So go visit our TikTok at 272football as well.
and sorry that this is a spoiler for what's gonna happen.
Yes.
On Thursday.
Sorry for the spoiler, but you guys just thank you for watching this video. Hit the like button, subscribe, and hope we all have a great draft day.
Yeah, can't wait.
Can't wait. Bye.